The truck's pretty good. Look at that suspension flex. That's killer. I bet a bunch of you have seen this floating around on the internet. FMS released a new FCX10. However, it was kind of an odd release, and I think it left people with some questions. That's where I come in. I'm gonna tell you everything you need to know about this new ready-to-run scale truck. When FMS first put out their teasers about this licensed Toyota LC80 Land Cruiser body, everybody thought it was an ABS hard body, but it's actually Lexan. They did a really good job with this one. With the Blazer, you see it over there up on the wall. I had some issues with that, especially with the cab area. It just looks a little shrunken down to me. It's a good overall representation, but they've really stepped it up here, very FMS-like, you know, like we're used to seeing with their other hard bodies. They were able to get a lot of detail into this Lexan. So it's very good in proportions, I think. It's still little things here and there are a little bit off, but in general, I think they did a good job with this, and I think the Toyota fans are really going to love it. I think my friend Rodney is probably already eyeing one of these. I'm sure some of you guys out there know who I'm referring to, but I like that they've gone with this gunmetal gray, and it's interesting that they have the Toyota racing stripes on it and just the way they place it. I guess they're giving their own little artistic slant to it. That's totally fine. Again, gives a custom looking truck here. So up front, they've got a molded grille, and these lenses are transparent. Behind them, LED lights. There's a ton of LED lights in this kit. Wait until I show you the underside with all the wiring. The bumper is molded just like a Toyota Land Cruiser factory bumper, actually. And they give you the brush guard style, the meat tenderizer bumper in the kit if you do want to swap it out. But this is actually part of or mounted to the chassis. The body is separate. I like the fender flares on it, the running boards. And check it out, rear bumper has a box for a hitch on it. And then they have a ladder up to the roof rack. This looks very cool. It's actually pretty lightweight. You know, when you pull the body off this, it's not that heavy. It's definitely less than, let's say, you know, a full ABS hard body. So you are saving some weight, you know, and CG does play a role in having fun with some scale adventures. They've got lights on the roof plate there, LEDs in those. You've got mirrors with actual like mirrored glass behind it. Inset door handles, wipers, snorkel on the side, and then a full interior. And this one's decaled up, so they've got actually decals on the seats to give it some sort of fabric look. Shifter, steering wheel, and then even the driver figure in there. You know who the driver figure reminds me of? You guys ever watch Inspector Gadget, Dr. Claw's evil henchman? He's kind of got that look to it. They also give you a hat in the bag of goodies included with the kit. I'll show you that in a minute if you want to go throw a hat on them. But this is the coolest thing right here. They have revised the body mounting system. So underneath is this spin clip and these clamps, and once you turn it, it releases it, and it's got a spring pin that pops up the body. Let me show you in the rear. We're just going to spin that and it should pop up. Oh, there we go. A little bit more weight in the rear, but look at that body mounting system. Really cool. Then inside the body here, you'll see all those wires I was talking about before. There are those body mounting clips, and it even has the magnet setup. So as soon as you go throw this on, that magnet's going to transfer the power to those lights. Makes everything nice, clean, easy to operate. Now we'll go over the FCX10 chassis. This looks a lot nicer to me, guys. I like how clean it looks. That's because there's actually a couple things missing from it, a couple things added to it. One of the things added is these inner fender wells, which gives it a much cleaner look. These are pre-installed from the factory. We've got the same battery mounting tray, Velcro straps to hold down the battery pack. The frame rails are metal. They've got the FCX10 and FMS logos on them, composite shock mounts, and little change to the shock. So it's now a clear anodized shock. They are aluminum cap on the top, metal ball studs. Like the look of those shocks. Is that a dual spring setup? I didn't notice that before. Actually, look at that. It is. It's a dual spring setup. They look the same. I don't think it's a progressive thing. I think it's just kind of there for looks. But they've got a 4-link setup in the front and rear. They are metal links, metal ball studs throughout. Looks like pretty heavy duty rod ends. Even metal links for the steering servo. And the suspension actually feels really good on this. I know I say that a lot, but I like how slow and smooth it reacts. I think it's going to look really good on the trail. Lots of articulation there. That looks good. And now into the driveline. This doesn't have the diff lockers in it anymore, and that's because they actually have a new axle setup. It's a straight axle setup. So they have metal helical cut gears on the inside. I took a look at the locker in there because it's locked out now, and that thing looks solid. They have a massive bearing on each side of it, steel shafts out to the wheels, and up front they've got CVs going out to the steering knuckles. And when I was checking out the knuckles, it looked a little bit odd that it had an end cap on it. So I pulled the end cap off, and there was another bearing in it. So there's actually 3 bearings supporting that front CV shaft out to the wheel. And then it's got a metal 12mm hex on the end. So that's a pretty built up axle. It's got slider shafts up to the center transmission, and it is a 2-speed transmission that is filled with metal gears. I'm not gonna take this apart. What I'll do is I'll link up to my Blazer video. I took it apart in that video. You can check it out if you want to see the internals. Pretty impressive so far. Now let's get into the electronics. So it still has that nondescript servo up front. Looks like it's got a metal output shaft, but what I like is it's got this cool aluminum servo horn on it. That looks pretty dialed. It's got a little jeweled edge to it. And then there's been a motor swap. So the Blazer had a 21-turn motor. This has a 32-turn motor, so that's got to help out in the torque department. Then they went with the FMS 2-in-1 unit. This is basically from FlySky. Actually a pretty good setup. It has a ton of plugs, so you could go and add some additional accessories to the ports here. Obviously, you can see it's loaded up already, powering all the LED lights. Does have an XT60 plug on it, so you're going to need an XT60 plug equipped battery pack, 2 or 3S, and then there is your shift servo for the 2-speed transmission. What else you get in the box with the truck? Well, you get this stuff right here. You get the FMS radio system, the FSMG6BS, 2.4 gig. It's got some trims underneath this lid here, and I believe you could actually adjust the speed controller with some of the dip switches. Pretty well equipped radio system, actually a 6-channel radio system. There is that front bumper I was telling you about. That's gonna look pretty cool on there, but I like the stock bumper. Which one is better? Anyway, here is that hat I was telling you about, and they give you fog lights for that front bumper and some inserts for the lenses, some basic tools. Decals, gotta have decals, especially license plate decals. I think they gave you 2 of each this time. Then the instruction manual. Okay, drivers, on top of the mountain again. This is the clearest spot I could find to drive the LC80 where the rocks weren't covered in leaves. Look how slow and smooth this truck is crawling now. That motor change really made a difference. The speed controller is working pretty well. Just the descents, the drag brake, a little inconsistent. I'll show you that in a minute. But look at that, that's low gear, plenty of torque. Thing is just tackling this rock face. Even the tires are doing pretty well. I was a little concerned since they are kind of smooth and a firmer compound. Once it finds some traction, look at that, right up the rock. Now maintaining control on the descent is a bit of an issue. The drag brake's just too inconsistent, so it works well, but if you just touch the throttle, it just takes off on you. Guys, do me a huge favor because I always forget to ask this stuff. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And if you want to get one of these things, use the affiliate link in the video description below. It's what supports the channel without costing you guys any extra. Got to take it through the roots here to see if those straight axles hang up on anything. I've noticed a few times on the rocks I get caught up. I got to just motor out of it, but for the most part, not too bad. They look really scale on the truck. So you got a little more speed in high gear, just kind of mob through some of this stuff. It's got the power if you have a run up, but if you switch from low gear to high gear to kind of punch out of something, it doesn't have the torque in that instance. Steering angle is okay. Let's see if we could turn this up on the radio system here with the dual rate. I think it's this one. We might bottom out the axles now. Yeah, look at that. Much better if you turn up the dual rate. Doesn't seem too notchy. Let's see if it's bottoming out those axles. Yeah, you can see a little bit of chatter there. So I probably want to back out on that dual rate just a little bit. But look at that, it almost hits the links there. Actually, it hits the links on that side. That's a lot of steering. These rocks here are pretty smooth, so we should probably see some tire spin, I'm guessing. Actually, no, we're just bombing through this. Look at that. Truck's pretty good. Look at that suspension flex. That's killer. See, I'm in second gear, just no torque. So if I drop it down to low again, there's my torque. Just power out of it. Love this rocky edge. It really twists up the suspension. We got this incline here. Can we get this? Oh, look at that. Right up. Drop it back down. Now check this out, guys. The lights. One-handed, all lights come on, but do you see the problem? Have you seen the problem in the video? The turn signals. They're always on, even if you shut the lights off. There they are again. What happened? I thought we were over this. This is a challenge here. Look at that body roll. This is really off camera, really sloped down. Oh man, we got that wheel up. Dr. Claw's henchman doing a good job driving in there. Wow. I thought that was gonna roll. It's really stable, guys. I'm pretty impressed with this one, RC drivers. You know, we got a lot of weight up top, so that raises the CG, and it still handles really well. It actually has a lot of steering if you want to turn it up and, you know, deal with a little bit of axle bind. I like the low speed control. I think second gear could have been a little taller, so we got a little bit more speed out of it, but man, it is a good looking truck. LC80 fans are gonna love this thing.